Today is August 18, 2015, PM work session.
We haven't had one in a while, so what do you think about it? That's Manatee, Charlotte County, and then Sarasota.
I liked it.
But we haven't had one, so do we want to plan one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Because we haven't had one in a while?
No, to discuss what they're doing, what we're doing, what's working, what's not. Not just-
I like sharing the ideas. I kind
We
of,
get some really good ideas from mainly Charlotte County.
yeah, Charlotte County with the,
Clinic.
and I'd also like to know, if they've got any issues, what their issues are with the legislature, and see if they jive with where we're at.
Well, we see that when we go to the consortium.
Mm,
We went with Manatee, because they're not part of it.
No.
And then two, they're talking about statewide issues on the FSBA and the consortium. I'd like to see if there's some local issues. And I see that, is it just Manatee County that's doing the meeting readiness or whatever?
The get technicians, or whatever they call them, the get.
Were we televised live this morning?
The,
I think so.
The Suncoast campaign?
As
yeah,
far as I know.
No, that's, Suncoast is for both districts, Sarasota and Manatee.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear some of the things that are working for them and whatnot.
Having it on March.
Yay or nay?
I think
Yes.
Yay? Oh.
Charlotte County held it.
But it all says
Did
the same
Manatee
thing,
ever host
either
it?
that or
Manatee held it
had
last
somebody
time,
do
so
something.
Sarasota held it again, because we've been to Charlotte and
Because
to
it all says the exact
Manatee.
same thing.
We did it last year, Manatee.
Did we do it in Manatee last year? Yeah, we did, so it's our turn.
So when do you think we should look at doing this? In
The
January?
taxpayer, in my opinion, counts. Every one of them says that exact same thing.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Do you think we ought to maybe see if, A, they want to do it, and B, if they got anything to talk about? I'm just
How did
saying.
you work at the last time, Joe? Did you call?
We've been rotating it, so it is our turn, but, I
But who
just,
contacted the other district?
whoever's hosting contacts and say, do you have an interest, and if so, give me some dates and
Okay, so
times.
specifically,
Yes.
would you contact them?
Yes.
Okay.
But I contacted Manatee first with a couple of their board members, and then so
Oh, do you want to talk to the board members before I call?
illustrious
No.
Frank needs to do it. I think you can do it.
I'm not calling them.
No.
Want me to? Oh,
Thank you, Joe.
all right.
Okay.
But I'd like to know that they got, both boards want to do it and have stuff to talk about,
Yep.
and that most of them are going to come.
Yep.
And if they do, what month are you thinking?
Well, I'm past the holidays, it would have to be.
Like in January?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do we have convocation of governments in January?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe we ought to do it in February? When does session start this year?
January 12th.
Ooh,
Special session, or committee meeting starts September.
14th, right?
So you want me to look for January or February?
Well, convocation of government, that's like the first or
It's a
second.
Friday morning, but that's no big deal.
No, it, towards the end of January and beginning of February.
Afternoon? An afternoon?
Yeah, that's what we've been doing,
I think it was 2 to 4 last time.
yeah.
That's a good time for them to be able to get here.
Yeah, that didn't even take 15 minutes. Telephone town hall meetings. Are we
Excuse
doing
me.
them? What?
Are we done with that item?
Yes.
Telephone town hall meetings.
Excuse me.
I never had one. I mean, I don't know when we had them, what was the, who had one?
Jane and
I
Caroline
had
both
one.
hosted one, and then we had one that was not with the board member, it was on Lamarck. We've had three. One was focused in one school, the other two were district-wide.
And, were they were they just people in general, or were they specific to issues?
They were not issue specific, it was the gamut. The first one was a little more weighted as, the first one had more participation, probably because it was unique or new. Had, though, a little more weighting of individual personal problems that they wanted resolved. So we did, in the marketing for the second one, we said this is not the place, if you have an individual situation, you don't like the placement of your child, this is not the way to resolve that. There's other ways that we can assist you with that. This is if you have a general issue. And the participation was less. I mean, it certainly is positively received for those that participate. There is an element of frustration of those that have a question that they can't get to the phone, there's not enough time to get to them. But then we do take time to, if they type it in, then we will address follow-up. So we try to mitigate that. You have to budget about $5,000. It's usually about $4,000 is what it costs, but there's a variation of how many minutes.
For each?
Mhm.
What service do we use?
It's called Telephone Town Hall Meeting Incorporated. There's more than one vendor, I'm sure, so we could see if they charge less. It's basically somebody that moderates and then does the whole accruing, the whole technology, the actual call-in and they have a site that then you have somebody getting the content of who's going to speak. So there's other services than just the moderator that's on the line. So
And you use, I mean, how many participants did you have in the past? Like, how large is that audience to manage?
they have a lot of data.
Yeah.
It drops off. You got to, they can monitor how many people picked up the phone, how many people stayed on the line, how long they stayed on the line, so you have it dropping off as you go during the call. Because the call lasts, it was over an hour. I mean, it was,
Wow.
yeah.
Long.
It's, so,
It was pretty good, that was
Oh,
good.
I like the idea. I think that's
Like being on the
impressive
radio,
to
Bridget.
have, well, an hour is a long time though. I mean, that's a long time to have an audience engaged, in my
well,
opinion.
they're
Yeah,
listening.
especially sitting there on the phone.
Right,
Yeah,
and that's
you're
why
not
you
looking
have,
at them on-
that's why you have a drop-off of connections, and some people stay on for the whole time. I mean, but all that data, it was less the second time than it was the first. Still, it's much larger than any other, like a community forum where people have to drive to or something. We find it much more participation than we've had in any of the previous community forums.
See, this is why we did that, because we were having community forums, and nobody was attending but staff. Staff had questions also, so, but we decided as a board that we didn't want to do that. So as a result, we went to this telephone call-in town hall meetings. And I don't want to see us lose all connections that we have with the community. So that's why I'm bringing it forward.
How many started?
I'd have to have Gary
figures
dig up the
that out.
data. I mean, we've got the data.
Yeah, because I've read them.
Well, and do we have them issue specific? I mean, what's our goal? Obviously engaging the community, but,
It just was general.
so they have questions
They're-
and they can bring it forward?
No,
or-
yes, the individuals bring questions, and they're vetted, the questions are reviewed, they listen to somebody listens to the question before so we try to get different topics, so it's not all about the same thing. It's, and try to eliminate those that are so specific to an individual situation.
Right.
Or it would be disclosing dissatisfaction with their teacher or something. I mean, that's not really going to be a value for the entire group, so they try to vet out those. And that's kind of what are the responsibilities of the contract. Gary feels that although there's other people that do this, they're about the same amount, it's the same cost.
That's very expensive. That seems
Everything's-
expensive to me.
Everything's expensive.
I mean, I should go to meetings now, not the audience isn't more than a couple hundred, but, I mean, how much are we talking? Because and they would have to have somebody on staff moderating it, because you don't hire, so, I mean, you'll have a service too, but that's like,
Well, I mean, you could do a community forum for very little money. The problem we found, unless you have I mean, I can tell you topics that fill a room.
Right, no doubt.
But if you don't, yeah, redistricting will do it, change of a school, opening and closing time will do
Yeah.
it. We know the hot topics, but just for general information, it's not enough of a priority, it doesn't seem, to really generate people getting in their cars and coming to a location.
So what I did was I would answer the call, and I would answer the question if I could. And if I couldn't, I would say, well, that's the superintendent's question, or that's the CEO's question, and pass them off.
I loved it.
I did
How
too.
many,
I
do you,
thought I was a
But
regular.
I mean, are we
It's
talking
only-
about 20 people, 50 people,
No.
100
No,
people?
hundreds.
Hundreds. Yes.
I mean, from the initial that are on the line. Now, how many stay on, it diminishes, but yeah, there was
Well, I would
hundreds of
think even
people.
if there's hundreds for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't imagine. I wouldn't stay on the line for an hour.
I think that's a really long time, I think just from a marketing standpoint, that's a very long
but they do
engaged time
things,
period, unless
they-
it's a hot topic. and then-
yes, and then obviously you're gonna get, and that's
Or
kind
it
of
gets
what
really
we
interesting
had.
based on questions, I mean, I don't know.
You had, we did a couple of, they do a couple of surveys where you can punch in a number on a question, and then we can get the data back on that. We do some like public service kind of blips, so it's not all just Q&A.
Yeah.
There's a few little interruptions, like telling them about a play that's going to be at a school site or something.
I'd be curious to see when we held it, how long ago, quite some time ago?
2013, February was the last time.
I'd be curious just to see what the data showed. And
I
I like the idea, I like any way we can try to figure out a way to engage them. My question is we set a board member individually to run it each time?
Yeah.
They're with staff there to support the board member.
And it's the board, we're speaking as a board, as a whole, okay.
Right.
I got a text message from the school district this morning saying that I'm signed up to get text
Right,
messages.
that's a new part of Connect Ed that's now offering the text.
So we're telling them, okay, here's your text message, but if you don't want these anymore, you can do this.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's that I
Okay.
But it's about you got a budget about $5,000 for each one, and so you don't have it in your budget right now. So that, just to let you know, what I tell my staff when they come with ideas that I don't have in the budget. It is not in your...
So maybe we should talk about putting it in the budget again for next year?
Well, I mean,
That's possible. Well, when did we get rid of the lobbyist? Did that open up
Yeah.
some?
I don't know if that was, is the lobbyist money still in in the budget?
Oh,
That's a big chunk.
I can look.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to something.
I think
No,
from a
it
data
was-
standpoint.
I think
June
they,
it's out.
June, it's, because the last payment was in June, so it's not in the new budget.
No.
Well, because that decision had been made prior to June.
Hmm.
But, I mean, if you say you want it to happen, I'm just letting you know that I will be dipping into the reserves. I've got to be honest with you, when you add something to your budget, that it comes from somewhere.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I'd be curious to see the information of what it's supplied
I'd be
with
happy.
from the very beginning.
If it's a nice to do or an important to do.
Definitely.
I don't really know.
And then if there's a major issue that we really feel like we need to connect with, where we're not connecting, whatever that may be, knowing that that's an option, because I think anything outside the box to engage the community, and if we had success in the past, then we weigh our option if there's a critical need for it, like Jane said, or want, that would be my position on that.
So let me do this, because I think if it's something that I can easily share electronically, I will do so, or if it's a minimum amount of PDF. But if there's a lot of pages of the data, I just don't remember the format, I'll just leave it in the boardroom
Okay.
so that anybody can
That
look at
works.
that, so that I don't have to,
Or somebody can send it to us via link.
but I'm saying it may not be digitized. They may have just downloaded at a time, and there is no link of the data from the previous one. So let me just see what format. If it's electronic, it's easy, I'll just shoot it out to you.
See, it's the only thing that I found that works for us to try and reach the community.
I think it's important. Or if they feel like they're being heard. So, I'm open to it.
Criteria for highly effective teachers, Shirley.
This isn't so much the criteria, it's, What do we do with highly effective teachers? I think we touched on it a little bit this morning, like putting highly effective teachers in classrooms where they're needed. There was a program that the legislature did where they had, was it master certified teachers, where they did some nationally certified teachers or something. Didn't we get some teachers?
We had a Microsoft Bill Gates.
This had nothing to do with Bill Gates.
Oh, okay.
This had something to do
Nationally board
with
certified
the
teachers.
legislature, national board
Right,
certified.
they got some incentives to
Yeah, they got
do
some
that.
incentives, but
And
then they
got
stopped giving it
additional,
to them.
yeah, then they got additional dollars if they mentored another teacher to become nationally board certified. But that was a state program that's been
And
discontinued.
we also got away from paying teachers for Masters Plus and
Right.
Well, I'm just
it's,
thinking that when we're looking at paying teachers for, right now, I don't think we're paying them too much more to be highly certified, but as we're looking at that, I just want to look at making sure that if we're giving them something more for being highly effective, that we can be getting something back too, or finding ways to use that more effectively, that information.
Well, and we tried to have lots of opportunities for teachers to take leadership many times. Those are teachers that are highly effective. And sometimes you have to understand too that we don't even get the evaluation results until the school year
I know.
starts. And right now there is no performance pay for highly effective, so there's nothing in place. So, but I will tell you, there are a lot of leadership opportunities. Not every highly effective teacher wants that. But there's lots of opportunities for them to do district level curriculum writing, depending on what their passion, or leadership positions in the school, to develop those skills that we really strongly
But
encourage.
I liked even just seeing them taking students that need extra help, rather than having highly effective teachers teaching classes with high-scoring students, or with parents that are engaged.
So I know we referenced that this morning, and I agree 100%. And how, whatever it is, now the data shows there's mixed reviews. What's the incentive? Is it money? Is it reward? Or, what have we done in the past, or what can we do? If, even from I don't even know if that's something we can include in contract negotiations, if that's how that even
It would
works.
have to be in contract.
Right, so we're
negotiations.
saying, as an incentive standpoint, I mean, I don't know how that's even.
I would like to somehow, to sort of incorporate that
No,
as we
I
go
agree.
forward, if there's anybody else that agrees with that.
Or even when
know.
we're looking at, when Roy was, it just, the discussion on how we attract teachers or ones that are interested. I defer to you as far as, because it's different things draw them to it, but there's no doubt we need it, so what way can we?
I mean, there's a lot of
answer
discussion, a
and
lot
plan?
of learning. I don't think there's this cookie cutter, oh, here's the answer. It's also, you need to know that when we looked at the percentage of teachers that are deemed highly effective at the different schools, there's a lot of similarity, even across poverty schools, that you have highly effective teachers in poverty schools now. So we have to be careful with assumptions.
yes.
There's highly effective teachers at Pineview, also they're gifted, but there's also in our poverty schools. So we have a significant number of highly effective teachers that are distributed all over the county.
New teachers, we needed to hire how many new teachers?
Was
that teacher? Yeah, 270.
there were that many vacancies. The only caution is we've hired about 200 teachers right now. There are some vacancies that are still out there, but some of those vacancies we can't fill with permanent employees because they're leave. It's a maternity leave, child
I
care
see.
leave. There's technically vacancies because they have been filled with a sub, but you can't fill those with a permanent position because the person is coming back.
I see.
So that's a little bit deception on the 60 that are left, because that includes all the leaves, of which are not a small number of people. So, I think we're in good shape. We've got some areas that are always challenging, finding appropriately certified teachers for teaching autistic students, So your more severe ESE areas, I'll tell you, it's a challenge. ESE teachers overall continue to be the area that we have the most challenge.
We lost a lot of teachers who retired. And I know each month we get just a couple of them left for one reason or another, but we're not really seeing a lot of teachers that, you know, like they say, oh, these teachers start and then in 5 years, so many of them aren't there anymore.
There's always,
We're not getting that many, I mean, we're just,
well, you always have, you see the board reports
yeah.
of resignations
never
for
that
personal
many.
reasons. I mean, there's always some attrition that occurs, and it's a part of either people move out of the area or they choose to leave the profession. So I'm not sure there's this huge dissatisfaction.
Yeah, what we don't
that-
see when they're leaving, for whatever reason they're leaving, we don't see, well, they retired
see
because
it
they've
first.
been here for 35 years. We don't see
You
that
see
this is the teacher
resignations.
that left after 5 years or left
No.
after 2 years.
Well, I don't know, you see the resignations on the board report, you don't see how many years they've been there. But you could make an assumption that they were leaving the profession even with the resignation, because there may be personal reasons that they've moved out of the area. A husband gets transferred and people, you know, all the other reasons, life happens.
Well, let's say that, moved out of area, on the personnel report. Some of
Not
the
always,
areas-
we say what they're willing to say.
Oh, their exit, what's it, exit interview, is that what?
Well, or at least a statement of the reason you are resigning, and we try to do exit interviews and give people, but then there's nothing that forces them to
Right.
fill it out. I mean, some people prefer not to, and that's their right. So we put whatever reason they've they've stated.
Well, it's just something that I've, you know, mentioned to Lori a few times, and I wanted to see if anybody else was thinking that way too. Can we go on to the next one even? I guess I'm in charge now.
Yes, you are.
So I put the next thing on, so if I,
So Lori,
Yes.
you take number 9.
I can do that. I just wanted you to be aware that the Sarasota Realtors Association reached out to me and we always connect with them around referendum time. They made an effort, they say they want to really expand that partnership, and have asked me to speak or other appropriate staff at some of their meetings. I've got one scheduled, just to answer questions, because for
That's great. That's
for
wonderful.
for
I'm
many
happy
of
about that.
people, the more informed, for me it's a great partnership, the more informed those realtors are of how we do things, how things
right.
work, and they need to be, and I've invited them to come and tour our schools so that they can speak with, you know, genuine knowledge. So we'll continue to do that. And that was, the names, just so you know, is Adam Davis, Stafford Starcher, who were the ones that I met with. What is it?
It's Stafford,
Starcher? I have
Starcher.
Starcher.
Starcher, it's Linda Starcher, yeah, Stafford.
Stafford Starcher. Yeah.
Linda's, his wife's a friend of mine.
Yeah, that's who I met with. They are doing a big effort. In fact, we'll probably recognize them at some point with a lot of volunteers.
Oh,
That,
great.
They're doing a lot of volunteers. In fact,
Yeah.
I've worked with them, and they merged with Manatee, and they did that so quietly. I didn't even know it until I went way up off of 70 up to the Manatee Realtors office, which is very nice. And they had a volunteer meeting there, and we talked about some volunteer efforts. But it was both associations, and I said, wasn't it nice that you could get together? And then they said,
Well, and they're not
Tanis.
in South County.
no, South County's not.
As a
It's
different
still
organization.
standalone. Uh-huh.
Tanis is going to recognize them in December.
December is when they'll be recognized for their
Sarasota Board
volunteer
of
efforts.
Realtors. Right.
So that was just to let you
No,
know.
we'll let them know we need volunteers in South County.
Well, I was thinking-
Well, but that's not their area. There's a different
Oh,
realtor
there's
association.
realtors in South
Is it really?
County.
Yeah, I learned that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Actually,
And change it.
I do now remember that, Venice.
So, in other, if I can move to that, one of you, and I don't remember who, had a discussion that, with some Inglewood community members, and who voiced that they feel like the board is really not connected to Inglewood, doesn't know about their issues, and wouldn't it be nice if the board members had a meeting in Inglewood? Not that you want to be the traveling board, which you may feel like this year, but, so I just said I would convey that to the board to let them know that they're, at least from some community members, that was their perception.
I'm fine with it. I think we have.
I don't know if there's a
Where would we
location
meet?
in
That was-
Inglewood. I don't know Inglewood.
They have a
Maybe
board meeting in
Nick will
Englewood?
go to Inglewood.
Is there a Y? There's a Y down there.
There is a Y, but I don't know if they
A
have.
W-H-Y? Is
There's
there a Y?
a church that's a Y down there, but Sky School is a church.
We don't have any
love
high
the
school
big
students
church.
there, we don't have any
Yeah.
middle school students, and we've got half of an elementary school in Englewood, right?
I know.
No, they have a growing, their elementary school's good size now. They've grown that,
But a lot of them are Charlotte County.
some of them.
They are.
Now we've
David
got that
Dickens,
charter
for
school
example,
down there.
lives in
Yeah,
Charlotte.
and he's involved all up here, I mean, so.
He's involved with Sky Academy, and he's gonna get more involved with Sky Academy.
He's involved with other things.
Well, I
He's
think we should
involved with
have
my
a,
JFCS board.
I think we should have a board meeting in Nokomis too.
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
I think we ought to have
'Cause
one
we
at
feel
the
neglected.
Longboat Key Club.
Don't we?
We got a couple of students out there,
Let's have it at your house.
and one on Lido Beach.
You guys can take the rest of the work session off, by the way.
If I can
Don't
find,
forget us, Frank.
I don't have a problem with having a meeting.
Well,
in
you do
November.
lose out on you can't televise it, and I don't know.
No, but that's been a lot of effort in the last couple of
Well,
months
but
anyway.
we're making progress on that, because it didn't get televised today.
I think it did.
Yeah, I think it did. I
That's
think
why
we're there.
We have one scheduled for Northport coming up.
Yes.
Venice.
No, Venice.
Venice.
October 6th is Venice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The schedule
Do
was
we
for
share with them, is that, I mean, I know that area is, I mean, Inglewood's a hike, unfortunately, from Northport or
It is.
Venice or whatever, it's just the way it's drawn out, but I think
Need to make sure she does, so she
just
doesn't.
let them know, trying to do a South County and North County to be
Probably.
sensitive to that, and if they're aware of the one in October, and if not, for any reason, is that at nighttime, that's at nighttime, it's 6:31, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so,
It's not far from Inglewood to the
it's not, yeah, it's South Venice, isn't it?
it's Anderson Building.
Yeah.
So-
It is a South
That's
End.
true.
It's about a 20-minute drive.
That's a real good common point from Northport, from
Yeah, because
Inglewood.
they're all,
and
because
from
the way they're
Venice.
spread out, it is no quick way, but hopefully,
Sure.
that way they'll see
Right. I think it does show the board is willing to go to South County. I agree. I just promised I would mention it.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one other.
Another other?
I'd like to share some feedback that I've gotten, regarding the teachers' retirement. The fact that we didn't have a party for them this year, and we didn't
Yeah.
have a picture with the superintendent. Some of them have worked here 45 years, and I've got a lot of complaints about that. They were really upset and sad, and I think we did a disservice to our teachers. I didn't even know this was happening until after the fact, that we weren't going to have a party for them.
Do we know,
This is how it happened. Roy came up and had a list. We didn't allow them to hire anymore, and they had the last administrator cut with Mike's. When he left, I didn't replace him. So, and their hiring has gone up. So they said, you have to prioritize superintendent. We can't do everything you're asking us, and continue to have this escalating need for hiring. And we've allowed them to do overtime, but there comes a limit of how much people are willing to do on overtime. So that was the concern, that was valid concern. He had a list, for example, the school-related teacher of the year. I mean, those types of events consume tremendous amounts of time. Any of you who's had to arrange an event can appreciate all the detailed work of making sure you've got the right names and the right awards and all of that. It consumes a lot of time. And I said and they had this one. He said, let me not do these two anymore. And I said, you have to continue with the school-related employee of the year. I will check with the board chair if he would be agreeable for 1 year that we don't do the retirement.
So the board chair made the decision.
Well, I can't say
That's
that.
what I can say.
If I wouldn't have asked, he understood. I won't say that. I don't want to throw Frank under the bus.
I'd let them do what they thought was best.
So that's how that decision was made. I can't have them not hiring staff and doing background checks and doing fingerprinting and doing what is necessary. I wasn't agreeable to the other opportunity that was, again, not not as high priority. Their mission is to hire people and to go through the processes of HR and everything else that has to do with HR. So that was the reason. I am willing to reinstate it.
How much
I-
is something like that? It's time. It's time more than anything.
It's
correct?
a staff member's time that right now they're focusing on other
It's not like a
priorities.
cost
You know,
effort.
maybe,
No, it's not.
maybe
It's
cut out
right.
a little,
It's capacity, yes, yes,
They
and they're,
get their plaques anyway, so you don't save money for the plaques.
oh, I
Well,
was gonna say
my
cut the
question
flax
is something
out.
like that, is that where we can realize that there is going to be a cap
Well-
on capacity, but knowing how important something like that is, with that knowledge, trying to go out from a community standpoint.
Well, what if-
you know,
what if the
outside
board,
of-
you could also have, this could be your project. You
I was
know,
gonna
you
say, I'll
could,
do it.
Well, that's the thing.
I
how do
mean,
we know?
you have to, somebody has to do the work, but I mean,
Want a
there's,
picture with you.
I don't know why. I have no idea why.
I was so,
But-
because I was taken off guard because
No, I appreciate it.
I
No,
didn't realize that it was happening.
And I had meant to, frankly, it was just the busiest time of the year, and that decision had been made earlier, and then it didn't cross my mind to alert you that that is the rationale, but that's what happened. But I think if we could figure out ways to do it, to do the,
I like the
make,
board doing it. I think that's kind of nice.
it's really your,
I did an ice cream
it's
social
the,
one year, and that was a flop.
I mean.
oh yes, that was a
I
flop.
like that part.
I know, but we
I don't have any
the
fun.
ice cream melted in it. But my heart was there.
I know, it was.
All right, so-
Let me talk with Roy and find out his ideas of what the board could do to support putting it back, to having it returned, and what kind of
I spent
assistance.
so many years working.
I know,
What did they
no,
do?
I
Such
know.
a tiny little thing.
Well, and part of it is, that you don't get all of it coming. I mean, and what we did, the concept was, and why I said, okay, we'll try this for a year, was that they do a celebration at the school site, that then they could give them the plaque at the school
They did
site.
that.
So I,
It wasn't the same thing
I-
without the picture with
wanted
the
a picture with
superintendent.
Oh, it's all.
Now, when you're gone and they don't have the history with the new superintendent, I don't think it's big. But I mean, I think there is that factor with you, Lori.
Yeah, I
Well, I think that what we ought to do is make her set aside a day.
And come back every
oh God, for a picture.
All right. Just to
Okay.
be fair to, we should
All right.
be fair to Lori. I think maybe what we ought to do, and this probably wouldn't cost more than $250, $500, is get one of those cutouts.
I like it.
We
Oh,
might do that before
golly.
we leave. You know, that might be.
Oh, that's really hilarious.
We're on
Somehow
the
we
surprise,
can have
Shirley.
you-
No.
We could have you in more than one place at a time.
But Caroline, I'm telling you, if there is somebody who retired and wants their picture with me, they just show up here any day and we'll make it
I
happen.
will tell them.
Would you tell them, the last thing I want to do is not recognize, I can't imagine that would be a recognition they would want, but if that's what they want, they got it.
Somebody
They
coming
got
coming
it.
up to me in church and telling me.
You tell her, all she needs to do is tell me the date and time and I'll go wherever she is. Whatever.
Stuff
So
that you can't
I will investigate to see what we can do to reinstate it and what kind of assistance the board could provide to make that happen.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Okay.
We're done?
So are we gonna get that cutout?
I like it.
Over my dead body. You can have the coffin.
We could stop you after you go.
Oh, my God.
We're adjourned.
Did you watch TiVo on television?